I'm Tim, welcome to our channel, and thanks for logging on. Today we're discussing the Breitling Chronomat Evolution Chronograph. You can see this automatic winding two-tone steel and yellow gold chronograph and purchase it on our website. Subscribe to our YouTube channel if you enjoy these videos, and please click on the card in the upper right hand corner of the screen at any time during this video to see our full listing for this watch with additional accessories included, more high resolution images, and naturally full pricing details for this timepiece. Now on my wrist, 6 1/3 inches, 16 centimeters in circumference, you can see that this is the classical Snyder era Breitling, and by that I mean after the sale from the Breitling family to the Snyders in 1978, since the relaunch of the brand in 1984 under Ernst Snyder and later run by his son Theodore, the Chronomat family, first the comeback watch for Breitling, later its modern-day bestseller, has defined the brand, and you can see all of those styling features from size to rider tabs. But first, let's talk about how the size influences the fit and the feel of this watch. On my 16 centimeter circumference wrist, you can see it's big. Now, it's just over 43 millimeters, approximately 43.5 across the round of the case. That does not include chronograph pushers, crown guard, or crown structure. In terms of thickness, you can see, before I even tell you, this is going to be a thick watch, and at 17 millimeters, it's not really one to tuck underneath a dress cuff or even a relatively loose sleeve. This watch is loud and proud on the wrist in plain sight. Now from lug to lug, the watch is reasonably compact, 50.5 millimeters from lug to lug, but if you count the solid end link of the bracelet, it flares just a bit. You can see how that link pokes out beyond the end of the lug, so from extremity to extremity across the wrist, the watch does measure 53 millimeters. It's also remarkably hefty. The combination of this very solid screw-fixed 5-link slash-cut pilot bracelet, a substantial swing arm and single-fold deployant clasp, and the fact that the watch does feature a solid screwed-in steel caseback means that it has not just an imposing aesthetic on the wrist, but substantial and impressive mass. If you like your luxury watch to feel hefty, look the part, and feel the part, this is definitely a watch for you. Now the nice thing about the watch is that it has all of the modern Breitling Chronomat signatures, all of the styling features rolled out in the early 80s. Now the Chronomat debuted in the 1940s as a sort of early version of Breitling's circular slide rule flight calculator, but it wasn't a pure flight calculator. It was more of a technician's watch. It didn't have all the functions needed for navigation. Those would come with the Navitimer. But the relaunch of the Chronomat in the early 80s was purely as a pilot's chronograph with 3 registers and, in most cases, a unidirectional bezel with what are known as rider tabs. You can see them on the bezel here rendered in yellow gold. They're a charming accent. There's just enough yellow gold here. It's used as jewelry. It doesn't dominate. It doesn't seem garish. It doesn't overpower the basic steel. This is very much a sports watch in character. Now those rider tabs make the bezel easier to use, so they're not just a styling feature. They let you get a better purchase with wet, sweaty, or gloved hands. Other features include these screws here in yellow gold that fix the bezel to the watch. This is a system Breitling pioneered in the 80s with the original Chronomat, and it means that you can't simply snap the bezel off. If you're a watchmaker, that means a bit more time spent disassembling the watch for cleaning, but if you're an owner, it means your watch is just that much more solid and resistant to essentially popping open should you deal a blow to the bezel, knock the bezel. The bottom line is, on a Rolex, on an Omega, that could be a bezel flying across the room. Here, it almost always takes a chunk out of the door, a chunk out of the car, a chunk out of the wall, but the watch is unscathed. You'll also note the stationary chimney inside the bezel. This is a styling feature, once again, from the original Chronomats of the 80s. The chimney maintains a buffer between the bezel structure and the crystal itself for safety. Other Chronomat features, you'll note the classic knurled onion-style crown. This is a handsome and iconic modern Breitling, and it makes exceptional use of yellow gold on the black dial. First of all, the combination of the two is immensely powerful and gives the watch great presence. You'll note that the tritone here, black, silver steel, and yellow gold accents, really works quite well. It almost has a little bit of a vintage vibe or charm to it without actually being a tribute watch or a vintage recreation of any kind. Now, of course, a 3-register chronograph, a quick set date, so you can pull the crown, you can set the date rapidly to correct should the watch run down or encounter an irregular length month. Of course, it is a COSC grade, what's known in Breitling speak as a caliber 13. That's a chronometer grade Valjoux 7750 underneath the screwed-on caseback. And although this is a pilot-themed watch, and of course chronographs are intimately associated with aviation and aerospace. The bottom line is it does have impressive water resistance at 300 meters with the unidirectional and loomed bezel. 300-meter water resistance, screw downs, and constant seconds indicator at 9 o'clock. It does meet the ISO criteria for a dive watch, in addition to being an automatic winding pilot's chronograph. You can see and you can purchase this two-tone Breitling Chronomat Evolution on our website.